What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Saturday, April 27th, 2024, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 12:45 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you on the situation with our nuclear forces and emergency action messages. So, last night, we had some unusual communications between strategic units of the U.S. nuclear forces. There were some radio checks and signal checks going on late last night between Offutt Air Base, Puerto Rico, and Ascension Island. Ascension Island is in the mid Atlantic off the coast of Africa, and it's a remote bomber base for the U.S. nuclear forces. And there's also a radio station for nuclear forces there, as well as in Puerto Rico. And then Offutt Air Base is home of STRATCOM. And so these three bases or stations were communicating last night between each other. And from what I'm being told, that's pretty unusual for a late Friday night. Normally, they don't communicate between each other that much. So look for something to go down potentially this weekend. I'm going to be on high alert. If anything happens, I will go live 24/7 if I have to. Now, in addition to these unusual communications between Offutt, Puerto Rico, and Ascension Island, we also had a bunch of aerial refuelers moved from the Salt Lake City area in Utah to close to Moran Air Base in Spain. And Moran Air Base is a bomber base. That's where we keep B 52s and B 1s. And we sent actually five aerial refuelers there last night and today. So, what you're looking at here are four aerial refuelers that took off from Salt Lake City late last night, shortly before midnight, and they went to Moran Air Base, which is used as a forward operating base for our B-1s and B-52s when they get deployed to the Middle East or to Europe. They go to Moran Air Base. So four of these last night, the aerial refuelers, all taking off from Salt Lake City, which happens to be right near Hill Air Force Base, which is a nuclear weapons assembly base and a very, very secret base important to our strategic forces. And then at the same time as these refuelers were going overseas to Moran Air Base, we had those unusual communications, radio checks, signal checks between Offutt, Puerto Rico, and Ascension Island. So something's brewing, guys. And here you can see two of those aerial refuelers landing in Spain. And then here's two more of them landing in Spain. And then we also had this aerial refueler go to Spain this morning. And this particular aerial refueler, Blue 92, in the past was used to refuel B-1 bombers on various types of deterrence missions in the European theater. So that's very suspicious, guys. And then here we have four aerial refuelers that were moved from Kansas to New Jersey, probably stopping over in New Jersey to refuel or pick up ammo or supplies and then head overseas. Okay, so something's about to go down. I personally believe that Ukraine is going to strike Crimea soon. I think they're going to try to crumble the Kerch Bridge. They've gotten over 100 ATACMS missiles in recent weeks from the U.S. secretly. Okay, the U.S. did not announce it, and Ukraine already hit a very important target in northern Crimea last week. They hit that S-400 complex in Jankoy. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a discount on their 1 month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. This is a 1 month freeze-dried food supply. It has a 25-year shelf life. Normal price is $237. They've dropped it down to $177. So that's a savings of $60. And it's all packed within 2 rugged, water-resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. $177 for 1 month of food. Where are you going to find a deal like that? They also have a general store, and they're always running discounts in their general store on various prepping and survival items. They have everything from MREs, potassium iodide, to survival seeds. And to get to their general store, you got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. And you'll see when you get there, they have everything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $60 off the My Patriot Supply 1 month emergency food supply. That's $180 for 1 month of food, free shipping included. The link is in the description below this video. And also check out their general store. They have everything you can imagine prepping and survival related, and they're always running various discounts there. And since they took out that S-400 complex, it's going to be much easier for Ukraine to now launch Storm Shadow missiles at the Kerch Bridge and various targets inside of Crimea. Okay, but they have the ATACMS missiles. They're going to be getting more Storm Shadow missiles soon. So I'm expecting Ukraine to launch a strategic strike on Crimea in the coming days, if not weeks, right around the Victory Day celebration. They want to give a big FU to Vladimir Putin and to boost the morale of the Ukrainian troops on the front lines and the Ukrainian people. They need a win. Ukraine desperately needs a win. Okay, they had that failed counteroffensive last year, and so far, the last few months, Ukraine has had some pretty significant losses. They lost Avdiivka. They're losing more towns near Chasiv Yar. So they need a win, guys. They need something to boost the morale of the Ukrainian people. They need to boost the spirit of the everyday Ukrainian. And they also have to also keep Russia off balance, keep them on their heels a little bit. And by striking Crimea, that gives Russia something to focus on rather than allowing Russia to focus completely on the front lines to try to make breakthroughs on the front lines. Ukraine is going to start pounding Crimea regularly with missile strikes and potentially crumble the Kerch Bridge. And so then Russia's going to have to focus some of their efforts on Crimea as well. Okay, this could be related to that. It could be related to something else, but we have multiple aerial refuelers going to a bomber base in Spain, and we had unusual radio checks late last night. Okay, here we have a sub Hunter plane operated by the U.S. Navy off the coast of Syria this afternoon. Very interesting here, checking for Russian subs. And we also had a sub Hunter off the coast of Kaliningrad this morning. And also last night, we had some unusual Swedish reconnaissance activity off the coast of Kaliningrad. Check this out, guys. We had this Swedish reconnaissance plane flying parallel to Kaliningrad all night long. And then there was another Swedish reconnaissance plane doing zigzags here, perpendicular to the pattern that the other one was doing. So they were keeping an eye on this area right here off the coast of Kaliningrad and near the Bay of Gdańsk in northern Poland, possibly keeping an eye on Russian warships in the area. And want to just update you guys on some other breaking news. So last night, Russia launched another massive missile attack on Ukraine. They targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure. We're hearing initial reports of at least 4 power plants confirmed to have been seriously damaged in western Ukraine as well as in central Ukraine. We know that some thermal power plants were damaged severely in Ivano-Frankivsk, Lviv, and Dnipropetrovsk. There was also a massive coal-fired power plant, Burstin, in the Ivano-Frankivsk region in western Ukraine that was struck by several Caliber cruise missiles, as well as at least 1 Russian hypersonic missile. And the Polish prime minister said today that one Russian missile with a massive warhead landed and detonated just 15 kilometers from the Polish border last night. So, very, very interesting. And what you're looking at here is some footage of an oil refinery in Krasnodar Krai in Russia. And this was an oil refinery that was immediately struck by Ukraine right after the missile attack last night. So Ukraine immediately retaliated by hitting this oil refinery. Very interesting. And F 16 fighter jets will begin arriving in Ukraine this year, along with trained pilots. This was confirmed by the U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin yesterday. And Belgium is going to be delivering the first F 16s to Ukraine this year. In coordination with our partners in the F 16 coalition, our country will make every effort to speed up deliveries if possible by the end of this year, the Belgian defense minister said. So it appears that these F 16s may not get delivered until later this year, which is not a good thing. And that would further push the Ukrainians to make some big strikes on Crimea if the F 16s are not going to arrive until later this year because it's taking longer than expected to train the pilots. The pilots are still not ready to fly them. They need more time to train with them. Then that would further push Ukraine to do this big strategic attack on Crimea to take out the Kerch Bridge, take out some Black Sea Fleet facilities again, and some other important facilities. So something's brewing, guys. And Ukraine has sidelined their U.S. provided Abrams tanks for now. And the reason why is because of Russian drone warfare. They've made it too difficult to operate the Abrams without detection and coming under attack by Russian drones. Two U.S. military officials told the Associated Press, so they don't want those Abrams tanks to get hit by the Russian drones. And the U.S. Army JFK Special Warfare Center and School in Fort Bragg is currently testing a Ukrainian language and culture course, which concludes on April the 29th. So if you guys don't know, the Green Berets, the Special Forces, are based out of Fort Bragg. It's also known as the JFK Special Warfare School. And Special Forces are required to pick one language, one foreign language, and one part of the world that they specialize in, and they're taught everything about that particular part of the world, and they learn the language. And the language school alone is like 6 months of in-depth study of the language and the culture. Well, now they're offering Ukrainian as one of the languages you can pick when you become a Green Beret and you have to go to your mandatory language school. They're adding Ukrainian to the list, okay, which is huge news, guys. That is absolutely huge. That means that we are training our special forces to fight in Ukraine, okay, and conduct operations there. The Houthis claimed responsibility for shooting down an American RQ-4 Reaper drone, as well as for a missile attack yesterday on a Panamanian flagged and British owned oil tanker, the Andromeda Star, in the Red Sea. So the Houthis are back at it again, shooting down an American drone, armed drone, a Reaper drone, and then attacking a British owned oil tanker with 3 anti ship missiles. And an Israeli military official told the Wall Street Journal that the IDF needs to intensify attacks on Hezbollah to secure quiet on the Lebanon front. So what I'm hearing is once Passover ends, which I believe is this weekend, we're going to see Israel probably start their operation in Rafah and then potentially escalate their attacks on Hezbollah. Now, Hezbollah said already last week that they were going to start striking deeper into Israel, up to 30 kilometers away from the border. The last few months, they've only been striking like right near the border with Lebanon, like within 10 kilometers. Now they're going to go out to 30 kilometers. So Israel's going to have to step up their attacks as well to match that. And then they're also going to do the Rafah operation as well. And so things are still very, very tense in the Middle East. And the situation between Iran and Israel is extremely weird. It's way too quiet, and I don't think that's over either. And the defense ministers of Iran and Russia met yesterday. During the meeting, the Iranian defense minister said that terrorist attacks in Russia and Iran are the result of terrorism supported by the U.S. and the West. So that's bad news, guys. The Iranian defense minister and the Russian defense minister meeting, okay, and both of them basically blaming the West for various types of incidents over the years. And former President Donald Trump attacked RFK Jr. amid polls that indicate the independent candidate would take more votes from Trump than incumbent President Joe Biden. RFK Jr. is a Democrat plant, a radical left liberal, Trump said in a 3-part post on his Truth Social website late Friday. A vote for Jr. would essentially be a wasted protest vote that could swing either way, but would only swing against the Democrats if Republicans knew the true story about him. Wow. So Trump lashing out at RFK Jr. And yesterday we had this massive tornado outbreak in the Central Plains in Iowa and in Nebraska. Here we have some footage showing this massive tornado in Iowa. So that's some of the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later tonight with another update, but be on high alert, guys. We had some unusual radio traffic between Offutt Air Base and Puerto Rico and Ascension Island late last night. That's the radio traffic used by our nuclear forces. And we had all those aerial refuelers going over the Atlantic to Moran Air Base, which is where we have bombers, okay, B-1s and B-52s, and more on the way today, okay? So it's possible that we're moving those tankers to Spain in case something escalates after Crimea takes out the Kerch Bridge with the ATACMS that we gave them. Because listen, guys, Russia's not stupid. They know that Ukraine does not have their own ability to destroy the Kerch Bridge or strike different targets in Crimea. They know that they need to use Western weapons to do it. They need the ATACMS. They need the Storm Shadows. And I think what we're going to see is probably Ukraine is going to launch like maybe 100 ATACMS missiles at that bridge simultaneously with maybe 2 or 3 dozen Storm Shadows to flood the Ukrainian air defenses and flood the Russian air defenses and confuse them and just completely crumble that bridge. And I think we're moving the aerial refuelers just before that happens. And the Russian Victory Day celebration is going to be, I believe, in 2 weeks. That's when Russia celebrates their victory over the Nazis. So a perfect time to humiliate Vladimir Putin right before Russia's anticipated summer offensive. It would boost Ukrainian morale, and it would also open another front for the Russians. So that's pretty much it, guys. I will be back later with more breaking news. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. And until then, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.